Baboon spiders can live up to 20 years. They live in underground burrows lined with silk, and they detect their prey through vibrations in the ground. And although their bite can be painful, they are usually far less dangerous to humans than many people think. I am the Safari Guide. My name is Frank, and today we're talking about an animal that frightens many people, even though it really only wants one thing: to be left alone. Today, it's all about the baboon spider. Baboon spiders are robustly built. They have strong legs and are heavily haired. Depending on the species, they can be brown, gray, yellowish, or even golden in color. Some species appear to be 12 to 15 centimeters in size when their legs are fully extended. If you suddenly come across such an animal in camp or on a path, it's quite an impressive sight. But the most important thing right up front, baboon spiders are not aggressive monsters. They don't jump at you and they don't chase people. They don't lie in wait somewhere to attack or bite us. They are primarily ground dwellers, as well as nocturnal hunters and very shy animals. Baboon spiders belong to the so-called megalomorphs. These are rather primitive spiders. The most important difference from many other spiders lies in the chelicerae, fangs. In many spiders, the chelicerae move sideways against each other. In megalomorphs, they strike forward and downward. Imagine two daggers thrusting downward in parallel. That's roughly what it looks like. And these fangs are impressively large. In some baboon spiders, they are over a centimeter long. And I find that quite remarkable for a spider. And yes, a bite is painful, but for most species, it is not medically significant for humans. That means it hurts, maybe for a day, maybe even 2 days, but normally it is not life-threatening. Nevertheless, you shouldn't take a bite lightly. It can lead to severe pain, swelling, redness, or even an infection, especially if the bite area becomes contaminated. If the symptoms become more severe, persist, or worsen, you should definitely see a doctor. So, you don't pick up a baboon spider, you don't provoke it, and you don't take it out of its burrow. It doesn't bite because it's evil. It bites when it feels threatened. And why is it actually called a baboon spider? The name comes from its appearance. The pads at the ends of the legs, that is, on the tarsi, resemble the foot pads of a baboon in both color and texture. The last segments of the legs are also often compared to baboon fingers. On top of that, there's the hairy body. For many species, the color of the hairs also somewhat resembles the fur of a baboon. So the baboon spider isn't called that because it does anything with baboons, but because certain body parts resemble baboon fingers or baboon feet. And I think that's so typical of nature. The name isn't hidden in some grand story, but in a small detail. We just have to look closely. And most baboon spiders live on the ground. They build underground burrows that are lined with silk on the inside. Such a burrow is usually not a branched cave system, but rather a tube or tunnel that leads diagonally into the ground. Sometimes the entrance is sheltered under a stone, under wood, or between roots. And in some species, this tube ends in a small chamber, while in others it is more of a simple, silk-lined passage. Some burrows can be up to 40 centimeters deep, while others are shallower and run just diagonally beneath the surface. But no matter what the burrow looks like, for the baboon spider, the burrow is everything. It is her home, her hunting ground, her shelter, and even her air conditioner. Because during the day, it can get very hot in the savannas and dry regions of Africa. Underground, it is cooler, more protected, and also more humid. And that's why the spider usually stays in the burrow during the day. Only at night does she come to the entrance. Baboon spiders primarily eat insects, and they are ambush predators. That means they do not actively chase after their prey. So at night, the spider sits at the entrance of its burrow, and this entrance is lined with silk. Baboon spiders produce this silk in their abdomen. There are special spinning glands located there. A liquid protein solution is formed in these glands. You could say silk in its raw form. When the spider needs silk, it presses this liquid through fine openings on its spinnerets. These are located right at the end of the abdomen, and only outside, in the air, does it become a solid thread. And you can see this silk all around the entrance to the burrow. So, it's not just decoration. The silk works like an alarm system. For example, if an insect walks over it, vibrations are created. And it is exactly these vibrations that the baboon spider senses. So it doesn't necessarily see its prey, it feels it. And that's truly fascinating. Outside, it's dark, the ground seems calm, and underground, a spider sits and pays attention to tremors. An insect steps onto the silk, and the baboon spider knows that something is there now. And then everything happens very quickly. The spider shoots out of its burrow, grabs the prey with its powerful fangs, and pulls it back into the burrow. And there, it kills or paralyzes the prey with its bite. But it can't simply chew its prey like other animals. So what does the baboon spider do? It releases digestive juices onto and into the prey. And these enzymes then dissolve the inside of the prey. Afterwards, it sucks up the liquid mush. That might sound unappetizing, but for spiders, it's completely normal. In addition to insects, baboon spiders also eat other spiders, millipedes, snails, small reptiles, amphibians, and sometimes even small rodents. That sounds like a varied menu. But the rule is simple. Anything that's small enough, comes close enough, and can be overpowered is potential prey. Baboon spiders are patient bouncers. They wait at the entrance and woe to anyone who comes by uninvited. But now, imagine the situation from the perspective of a male. A male baboon spider wants to visit a female baboon spider. A movement at the entrance of the female's burrow usually means prey. And if a male simply walks up to a female's burrow, things can go badly. The male could end up being eaten. So it has to make itself known. And it does this through vibrations. The male taps on the silk at the entrance of the burrow. This is often described as a kind of Morse code message. In other words, hello, I'm not prey. I'm a male. Please don't eat me. How about having some offspring? If the female then comes out, mating can take place. But even then, it's still not without danger for the male. With some baboon spiders, it does happen that the female eats the male after mating. After all, she needs extra energy for egg production, and the partner is actually just right for that. To prevent being eaten, the male has special mating spurs on its front legs. With these, it holds the female's fangs open and thus protects itself from being bitten or eaten during mating. That doesn't sound particularly romantic to us humans. After mating, the female creates an egg sac out of silk. How many eggs are inside depends greatly on the species, the size, and the condition of the female. But there can be several hundred eggs. The silk protects the eggs from drying out, from mechanical damage, and also from predators. The young spiders are tiny, often only a few millimeters in size, and they stay in the mother's burrow for a while. There, they are well protected. But not every young spider survives this period. In a confined space with many siblings around them, it happens that the young baboon spiders eat each other. Only the strongest make it in the end. These ones later leave the burrow, spread out, and begin their own lives. When a baboon spider feels threatened, it displays a very clear warning behavior. It rears up, raises its front legs, and displays its fangs, making it clear, this is the limit, go no further. In some species, you can then see the dark underside and strikingly red hairs on the fangs. This is a warning signal. The spider is trying to appear larger and more dangerous. Baboon spiders have natural enemies. They are preyed upon by birds, for example by nocturnal owls. They really enjoy eating baboon spiders. Other enemies include lizards, chameleons, centipedes, and scorpions, as well as honey badgers. And yes, even baboons eat baboon spiders. Another enemy is the spider wasp. Some of these wasps track down large spiders, paralyze them with a sting, and later use them as food for their larvae. That means the baboon spider is not just a hunter, but also prey. And that's exactly what we tend to forget about animals we're afraid of. To us, this spider might seem big and scary. To an owl, it's just dinner. In nature, hardly any animal is only dangerous. Almost every animal is somewhere between hunter and hunted. And that's exactly what makes ecosystems so fascinating. A central aspect of a baboon spider's life is its burrow. I've already mentioned this. Most of its life takes place in the burrow. But it's important to know if a baboon spider's burrow is destroyed, it can be life-threatening for her. Adult baboon spiders often can't dig a new burrow anymore. Young animals have small teeth on their chelicerae, which help them dig. In adult baboon spiders, these teeth are often missing or only weakly developed. Without a burrow, the spider is completely unprotected. She is not only exposed to the heat, but also to predators, and she loses her hunting ground. That's why it's so important not to dig up such animals or simply destroy their burrows. A hole in the ground may look rather inconspicuous to us, but for the baboon spider, it is its whole life. And this life can last an astonishingly long time. It is estimated that in the wild, they can live up to 20 years. For a spider, that's impressively long. You can see what the entrance to a burrow looks like on my website, safariguide.online. I've uploaded a corresponding photo. What I find really interesting, baboon spiders can replace lost legs. That sounds almost unbelievable, but it has to do with a process that plays a central role in every spider's life, molting. Because spiders grow very differently from us humans. They don't have an internal skeleton like we do, but rather an exoskeleton. So their bodies are protected by a hard outer shell. But this shell doesn't grow along with them. When the spider gets bigger, it eventually becomes too tight, like a piece of clothing you've outgrown. And then, under the old shell, the spider forms a new, softer body covering. And then the old skin splits open and the spider slowly pulls itself out. This is a delicate moment, because right after molting, the body is still soft and sensitive. The legs and the fangs are also not fully hardened at first. During this time, the spider is especially vulnerable. But molting is not just a step in growth. It is also an opportunity for repair. If a baboon spider has lost a leg, a new one can grow back during the next molt. How often a baboon spider molts depends greatly on its age and whether it is male or female. Young baboon spiders molt regularly, even several times a year, simply because they are growing. In adult females, molting can still occur later in life, perhaps once a year or at even longer intervals. That's why females, even as adults, can generally still replace a lost leg. It's different for the males. When a male becomes sexually mature, which can take up to 10 years, it usually does not molt anymore. If an adult male then loses a leg, it usually does not grow back. By the way, not all baboon spiders are the same. Behind this name lies an astonishingly diverse group. Some are very well camouflaged, colored in rather inconspicuous browns and grays. Others stand out with golden, orange, or reddish hairs. The trapdoor baboon spider even has a kind of trapdoor at the entrance to its burrow. And then there is also the horned baboon spider. With this species, part of the front body is shaped like a small horn. Altogether, there are around 50 scientifically described species in southern Africa. But why are baboon spiders rarely seen on safari? Well, it's quite simple. They live in hiding. During the day, they usually stay in their burrow. At night, they cautiously come to the entrance. However, they rarely venture far from their retreat. You are most likely to see the males. These males leave the safety of the burrow and wander around. That's why they sometimes appear on paths and in camps. But the male is not looking for humans. It is searching for a female and wants to mate. So, what should you do if you encounter a baboon spider? Well, first of all, you should be happy. And then just stay calm, keep your distance, don't touch it, and don't try to get it out of its burrow. Safari doesn't mean getting every animal as close as possible to your camera. Safari also means recognizing boundaries. Thank you for joining me on Safari today. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the Safari Guide, please check out my Patreon page. With your financial support, you help me continue this podcast independently and ad-free. And in doing so, you make it possible for new episodes to feature deeper research and even more stories from the world of safaris. Because that's what this is all about, not just seeing animals but understanding them. You can find the link in the show notes. Thank you very much. Until the next episode, Frank, your Safari Guide.